friends, April of 2020 was a long month for me. It was the first full month under a stay-at-home order for me, and during this time I read 17 books. I read 1 children's book, 7 comics, 2 young adult books, 2 classics, and 5 non-fiction books. Let's start with children's literature. I read Apprentice Needed by Obert Sky, which is the second Wizard for Hire book. We return to Ozzy Toffee's adventure. As a recap, after years of living in the middle of the woods with only a mechanical talking bird for company after his parents get kidnapped, Ozzy is now beginning to adjust to life in civilization. Apprentice Needed begins with Ozzy getting out of his bed, jumping out of his window, and walking into the ocean. And even worse, Rin, the wizard who may or may not have magical powers, hasn't been heard from in months. So Ozzy doesn't know who to turn to when he loses control of his body. This is a great adventure with some fantasy elements and a great through line of humor. It is a really fun series. I'm giving Apprentice Needed by Obert Sky 4 stars. Let's move on and talk about some comics. First up, I read Hunter x Hunter Volume 2 by Yoshihiro Tagashi. There's an ensemble cast all pursuing a hunter's license in order to do the most dangerous, interesting, and challenging work in the world. I don't really think I needed such an intense story, but it was pretty good. I haven't read any more of the series since then. I would definitely need to start from the beginning if I wanted to pick the series back up. I'm giving Hunter x Hunter Volume 2 by Yoshihiro Tagashi 4 stars. I also read Volumes 3 and 4 of Hawkeye by Matt Fraction. Volume 3, LA Woman, follows Kate Bishop and her solo adventures, from when she takes a break from her mentor, New York City, and from being a wealthy superhero. She still manages to get into quite a bit of trouble though. Volume 4, Rio Bravo, shifts focus back onto Clint Barton again, who must now save his building from the Mafia and a clown assassin, now with the help of his brother Barney, who provides a lot of backstory as to how original Hawkeye became Hawkeye. This is kind of a weird and dark series. It really wasn't what I needed. But I'm giving both volumes of Hawkeye 3 stars. While we're talking about Marvel Comics, I reread Ms. Marvel Volume 1, No Normal by G. Willow Wilson. This is one of my favorite stories of all time. I love Kamala Khan. I love the hope offered in her story as she learns how to become a superhero, as she learns how to become more of herself as she develops inhuman superpowers. Ms. Marvel is easily and always a 5-star read. I also tried out some new comics though. Steven Universe and the Crystal Gems by Jocelyn Fenton was filled with fun shorts that easily could have been episodes of the show. It was fun, adventurous, light. It was just a wonderful escape from everything. It's perfect for fans of the show who want more stories about their favorite characters. I'm giving Steven Universe and the Crystal Gems 5 stars. If you're looking for a more serious and high-stakes adventure that still includes cute character designs, I recommend Ruin World by Derek Lofman. This story about treasure hunting is deceivingly adorable. These adventurers face real and serious danger from poison, thieves, and necromancers. There's also pretty strong world building for this fantasy world that he creates. I'm giving Ruin World by Derek Lofman 4 stars. Our last comic for this video is Rutabaga, the Adventure Chef, Volume 1 by Eric Colossal. It is a delightful series about Rutabaga, an adventure chef. The name of the series kind of tells you everything you need to know. He travels a fantasy world looking for rare and sometimes dangerous ingredients. He also travels with a very charismatic enchanted pot. Rutabaga is incessantly friendly, so he gets welcomed on several adventures, even as some of his fellow adventurers doubt his abilities because he is such a wonderful chef, but he doesn't exactly look like an adventurer. I am giving Rutabaga the Adventure Chef by Eric Colossal 4 stars. Moving on, I read 2 young adult fiction books in April. First, we have The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson. This is the 3rd book in the Truly Devious series, and I loved seeing the mysteries play out as true crime enthusiast Stevie Bell encounters dangers in her own life as she tries to solve a 100-year-old cold case about a missing child. If you enjoy true crime, mysteries, or if you're looking to get into this genre, this is a great series to start with. I do wish I had reread the first 2 books in the series before I picked this one up. I had a lot of trouble remembering some of the details. Maureen Johnson also announced a 4th book in this series, so I will definitely be reading all 3 before that comes out. I am giving The Hand on the Wall by Maureen Johnson 5 stars. The other young adult fiction book I read was Super Adjacent by Crystal Sestari, which follows the young love interests of famous superheroes and shows how we can all contribute to saving the day, even without powers. It features 2 young couples, one who have been together for years and one couple that just met and is just beginning to fall in love. The couple that is falling in love is also a same-sex couple. It is a really great superhero story that focuses on the stress that the loved ones of heroes experience. It is a high-stake adventure that really focuses on the real world. If you want to learn more about this book or find more LGBTQ+ fiction, there is a spreadsheet of all my recommendations down in the Chamber of Secrets. I'm giving Super Adjacent by Crystal Sestari 4 stars. Next we have classic books. I read 2 classics, both in the same series. I read Emily of New Moon and Emily Climbs by Ellen Montgomery. This series is basically what Ellen Montgomery wrote when she was bored with Anne of Green Gables. And that whole series. Emily is another orphan with a love of literature growing up on Prince Edward Island, but she gets taken in by distant relatives when her father dies, and she has a lot of trouble living up to their expectations. She's stubborn, prideful, imaginative, and possibly psychic. It's a fun series that is incredibly wholesome. I'm giving both books 4 stars. Finally, let's take a look at our last category and talk about the non-fiction books I read in April. Let's start with Grace's Guide, The Art of Pretending to be a Grown-Up by Grace Helbig. I was never a huge fan of Grace Helbig, but her videos made me smile when I watched them, and this book made me smile too. It was also filled with actually useful advice, so that was cool. It's sweet, funny, and helpful, exactly what you would expect from Grace, and what you want from someone giving you advice. I'm giving Grace's Guide 4 stars. If you're interested in biographies about amazing women in history, though, I recommend The Woman Who Smashed Codes, a true story of love, spies, and the unlikely woman who outwitted Americans' enemies, by Jason Pagone. This biography is about Elizabeth Smith, who, along with her husband William Friedman, is responsible for America's modern code breaking. She used her talents while working for an eccentric millionaire to decode encrypted messages from World War I, then she moved on to catching smugglers during Prohibition, and finally exposing Nazi spy rings in South America. This is a story of one woman, but it also contains a history of American code breaking. It was intensely interesting. I'm giving The Woman Who Smashed Codes by Jason Pagone 5 stars. If you're interested in that book, I think you'll also enjoy the narrative nonfiction The Radium Girls, The Dark Story of America's Shining Women by Kate Moore. It is about all of the young women who painted dials with radium paint in order to make the dials luminescent for soldiers fighting in the First World War. They were, at first, unknowingly being poisoned by their jobs, and then knowingly being poisoned by their jobs as we discovered the dangers of radium. A lot of these women died horrific, painful deaths, but their bravery in working to expose the corruption of these companies saved lives and led to an expansion of workers' rights. I'm giving The Radium Girls by Kate Moore 4 stars. Next on my list is Hunger by Roxane Gay. This memoir is honest and also devastating as it speaks about the sexual violence that Roxane Gay experienced as a child. It is a memoir about self-image, weight, food, anxiety, and dealing with the bad things that happen to you. Honestly, it was way more vulnerable and intimate than I was expecting. I'm giving Hunger by Roxane Gay 4 stars. For the last book of this video, I wanted to talk about Good and Mad, The Revolutionary Power of Women's Anger by Rebecca Treister. This is about women's anger and its ability to transcend into a political movement. It tackles the history of how women have used their anger as fuel, how society condemns the emotions of women, and the impact of that on society. I thought it was a great book. And looking back now, with a lot more hope for our future now that the election is finished, I'm honestly still angry about so many injustices in our world, and I plan to use that anger. I'm giving Good and Mad by Rebecca Treister 5 stars. Those are all 17 books I read in April. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please tell me in the comments about a book that gives you hope, because when I was reading all of these books, I was looking for hope. And if you want to see more from me, you can subscribe, watch another video of mine, or support me on Patreon. And hey, I love you.